Lake City Council meeting of March 28th, 2023. We're recording, and I'm assuming? Very good. So our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Recording in progress.
A form of the council. We are now saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute begins. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome. Our next order of business is establishing a quorum of the council.
Mayor Jones,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Schultz,
Present.
Councilmember Ecker,
Here.
Councilmember McKay,
Here.
Councilmember Scafani.
Here. All are present. Very good. Item 2, approval of the agenda. First to the council. Is anyone here that would like to move anything around on the agenda?
I have a question. I have a question I want to ask about the warrants and disbursements. Is that, should I pull that out of the
Yeah,
consent?
we'll have to pull it out.
Okay, so I'd like to pull,
That, you don't have to do that now. We can do that when we go to number 9, because I'm going to pull the minutes as well.
Okay.
Some substantive changes. Anyway, okay, but as far as the agenda, everything looks good for the council. Is there anyone from audience that is here for a specific council agenda item? Okay, we'll come back to council for the vote.
Second.
Motion made by Elizabeth McKay, seconded by Angela Shull to approve the agenda as delivered. Any further discussion from council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. We have an agenda. Item 3, public comment. The public is invited to present petitions, make announcements, or provide other information to the City Council that is relevant to the scope of authority of the City of Blue Lake that is not on the agenda. The council may provide up to 15 minutes for this public input session. To assure that each individual presentation is heard, the council may uniformly impose time limitations of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. The public will be given the opportunity to address items that are on the agenda at the time the council takes up each specific agenda item. And I also want to note here that we have a public comment protocol. My teacher coming in, but each commentator will have up to 3 minutes to comment. Only 1 comment per person per item. Number 2, council will hear each comment and staff will take notes on questions and comments. 3, council will close the comment period. Council may discuss or ask staff for clarification only on items that have been agendized. There should be an A there. Items not on the agenda may be referred to a future agenda item, and public comment protocols are mandated by the Brown Act. So that's just a little way of us to keep things rolling here. Okay, is there anyone that would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda this evening? And I ask that you tell us your name, but you are not required to.
My name is Kent Swatsky, and I wanted to make some comments on some things that were brought before you before. I'm going to start with, there was a question asked of Chris Edgar during his day when he was confirmed to be on here. And it said and it was asked by Mayor Adeline Jones. In your application, you say that you want to make the council more hospitable. What do you mean? And I totally agree with his answer. I've heard some people should be more open to the public. And then further on, he said, I think the main goal of the city council is to help the community and represents people. And I strongly applaud those concepts. So with that being said, I feel that we have, unfortunately, one specific member at this time that doesn't seem to do that. We go to meetings and we have our input. 90% of the people will say what they want to say, and then all of a sudden they'll have an opinion. 90% of us agree. All of a sudden, the next meeting, the vote goes the opposite way, and that bothers us. And I'm going to read something. This was sent to me from a Humboldt County Today office of elections. So it's called Local Recall Guideline. Recall is the power of the voters to remove an elected official before their term is expired. Has been a fundamental part of our government system since 1911 has been used by voters to express their dissatisfaction with their elected representatives. Well, I feel we've reached that particular point, so I am going to go forward, and I'm forward to your staff, the policy and procedure for recall. And at this time, I hate to have to do this position, Adeline, but there's people in the community who feel that recall may be appropriate, and so that's possibly something we'll be moving forward on. And we have guidelines to follow. I think we need 30% of the registered voters have to sign the petition, and then at that time, it's put on the ballot. It's a standard process. It's used for the purpose I just mentioned. And sometimes we get to the position where people have to go and use their rights as far as feeling like they're being represented in the community. And I like the appreciation of all of you being here, representing us to your best ability. But there is a feeling and it's a public perception and a process to be done. So appreciate the opportunity to speak today on these non-agenda items.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? All right, Kit Mann and then Joffrey.
My name is Kit Mann, and I'm sorry I forgot to put this on the agenda for you. But since 2016, I have been the City of Blue Lakes representative to the Redwood Coast Energy Authority's Community Advisory Committee. My term was up earlier in the month. The advisory committee asked Elise, who is your board member, whether she would be interested in having me and I would be interested in continuing to do that. And I assured Elise that it would please me no end to continue to do that. And we had a long conversation. I don't know all of you, and I don't know how much you know about RCEA, but as Elise has found out, it's like drinking information from a fire hose. There's just a huge amount of information. And one of the things that really became clear to me with Elise stepping up into that role is that because the board of directors of RCEA changes over every couple of years when there's an election, and a new person is elected and a new person, because it's represented by all the agencies. And so there's a lot of new people on the board. So having people that have a long institutional knowledge and history, I think is important. Their board meeting was Thursday. I think I was formally appointed back then, but it's kind of the cart before the horse. I serve at your pleasure. It's a non-agendized item, so you can't take any action on this. Should you want to, Elise already sort of did, but I wanted to put that out there. I would, love to continue to serve as the City of Blue Lakes on the advisory committee. And I'd be happy to talk with any of you about anything that RCEA is doing at this point, or in the past, or in the future, and provide my historical knowledge. I don't know if you have to take a formal action because your board member had that authority or not, but I just wanted to introduce myself and say I'm here and I'm happy to continue to serve.
You are indeed officially appointed for another 2-year term.
Great.
It's a done deal, so you
Thank
can't
you.
get out of it.
Oh, that's not my intent. I'd love to do it for another 20. All right.
And I was told by the clerk of the board at RCEA that there was no big hoo-ha about
Right.
nominating you.
Right.
So,
Nothing that needs to happen.
there you go.
So again, my invitation, any of you want to, Mandy has my email, you can get in touch with me anytime, and be happy to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to
Thanks for
continue
your
to serve.
service.
Yeah, thank you for your service on that board. It's very important. Joffrey?
So I don't know the status of the plans for smoothing out the roads after all of the excavation that's been going on for the gas lines, but I've really been feeling that it's important to think about the long term with respect to underground utilities. As far as like when the roads get smooth again, it seems like this would be a good opportunity to take care of things like clay sewer pipe or other underground utilities that might need attention before really smoothing out the roads, and that could ultimately save a lot of headache down the line trying to finish something up and then bust it up again. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I don't know the status of it, so I'm not at all being critical. As far as I can tell, Glenn is doing a great job. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment on a non-agendized item?
I have a comment, Natalie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Lynn. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No problem. Yeah, I don't think this is on the agenda. The item I'm concerned about is posting council meetings on Humboldt Access. This was discussed kind of off agenda last meeting, and Angela had asked that it be on the agenda for this meeting. I thought it would be, but I don't see it there. So I noticed in the minutes that Mandy had said the council needed a protocol to make the postings a consistent procedure, but I was at the meeting when the previous council directed for the posting meetings on public access, and I don't believe that had changed. So I don't know why a protocol would be required. If that's something that you want to discuss, I think that could be an addition to, but I was a little bit confused and surprised when Mandy said that. So I'm wondering if the council is going to be clarifying that. And
Here, it's not a call for maintaining those. So I wanted to do a little bit more research to see how other cities handle that and what their capacity is for making that information available, and then bring that back to council for discussion. So I just didn't feel at this point I had enough information to bring back. I know Councilmember Scafani had asked about that, but I think it's important to remember that in between meetings, we literally have less than 3 weeks to get you any information or develop policies or do research, and during some things will just take a little bit longer to make sure that we have everything we need to be able to present to council for consideration. So that was my position. I just didn't have enough information to bring to you at this time.
And I do recall you saying too that we needed to have our training prior to even considering public access, just to make sure that we're holding our meetings in accordance with
Right.
with governments.
in the training that we had last month, or this month earlier.
And just to let you know, Lynn, that Justin is here this evening and helping us out quite a bit with the technology. So that's started already, so it's great.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, since we did have, something in the neighborhood of a year or so of meetings that were on public access without the specific policy, is it possible just to continue to upload those to public access until we create a new policy, so there's not a lag in access and transparency?
I don't know if that's a possibility. I mean, I'm not
I
tech
haven't
savvy
reviewed
enough.
any of the recording, so for, there was a period of time where we really weren't capturing, even the council, we were just capturing, audio, so I don't really know, I've never watched any of those, meetings, so I'm not really sure what the quality is or how they're, how that was being managed, because we were literally just using Zoom for public participation. It wasn't being used as a recording device at that point. The fact that it was recording was great, but there was no intention of using it in that manner, so the way we set it up, we had like the big TV over here, and we had a lot of things going on. So I don't believe that it really was probably a professional reflection of the council at that point. But I guess we could look into that.
The audio would be better than nothing, at least get something posted on there where we could listen to meetings that are archived.
I second
I
that.
agree.
All right.
We have a hand up.
Yeah. Yes,
Julie.
on Zoom. Julie?
Hey guys, thank you again for offering Zoom. This farmer appreciates it more than probably anybody else zooming in right now. I'm just gonna be kind of quick and brief because we'll get on with the agenda and chime in a little bit later. Mandy, I really would like to suggest that you check out the forum for our Key to the City. They have a great website where their agendas, minutes, and videos are posted. I think we could really, we are kind of, and sadly, I mean, Rio Dell and Trinidad are very similar for us, populace and capabilities, and they're able to do their meetings with no problem. In fact, they Zoom their commission meetings. So I think we definitely can do that. It's no excuses. I've been asking for it since 21. It's in the minutes. You guys okayed it. You hit record every minute, every meeting. And it's just a huge asset for our community and our future council members and any kind of projects that are developing. And I just think it's a huge asset. We're behind the Stone Age on it. It's time to catch up. And I support anything that we can do to facilitate that. I'm gonna let that be for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. This is some baby sheep. Okay, is there any other public comment? Keep track of what's going on the screen as well. All right, seeing no other hands, I'm gonna move on then to item 4, City of Blue Lake Planning and Parks and Recreation Commission appointments. The City of Blue Lake has received applications for open positions on the Parks and Recreation Commission and the Planning Commission. Jen Sauterfelt has applied for the Parks position, and Elaine Hogan has applied for the open seat on the Planning Commission. Jen Sauterfelt has served as a Park Commissioner for several years. Elaine Hogan is a former council member and a former Planning Commissioner. Both applicants have been active commission participants and have demonstrated knowledge in their areas of application. So we have their applications here, and so lucky to have two really qualified people, I think, and appreciate them stepping up and filling these vacancies. All right.
Can I ask a really maybe goofy question?
No such thing.
Does one have to actually reside, have a Blue Lake address in order to sit on the commission?
It depends. The planning commission you do, but the other commissions have different residency requirements.
Got
So it just depends, like economic development, there's a little bit larger scope and a larger description. Because with economic development, you might be looking for some specific skill sets or business owners or people with various interests that might not be reflected just within the city limits.
Okay.
And by mechanical, it's really Glendale.
Well, yeah, I mean, I figured that because I saw heights, but,
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, if we're talking city limits, that was where my question was.
yes.
Yeah.
And I would
And then she works at Blue Lake School as
Yeah,
well.
right, so I knew she was a chemistry
Can I
teacher,
note the
yeah.
typo? Her name has two N's in it, just for the record. Jenn, how she spells her name.
Jen Sonnenfeld?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does. That's right.
Are either applicants here? I don't see either. Are they on Zoom at all? Sometimes
No, I don't
Elaine
see
was
that.
really good at Zoom when she was on the council, but I don't see her there. Okay. Is there any discussion from council about this?
I think they're two highly qualified people.
I think we're looking at how.
Should we acknowledge the letter with somebody else resigning from a council? That's not on the agenda.
Will be under correspondence.
Okay, if there's no other comments here, I'm gonna open it up to the public. If they have any comments to make on these two applicants? Yes.
Ditto to what you said, I don't need to repeat it, it's lucky to have these people. I did have a question regarding, I guess it'd be your policies, procedures, and protocols for these people who are they able to serve on multiple commissions? In other words, could they be on the planning commission and another one, or can they be on economic and arts? It was just a question, I didn't, sometimes you lack the policies and procedures and protocols for these things, so I just would like to know and understanding if you have that particular thing regarding that. Otherwise, I guess somebody could serve on 5 or 6 commissions if they wanted to, and I just wondered if there's anything that precluded them from that.
Mandy, do you want to speak to that question? Because I don't know this specifically in our policy, but we have been making it a habit of not having that happen at all.
Yeah, I don't know, each commission is different, so I'd have to go back through and read each one. Each one of them has a different requirement, a different scope. But I don't think that there's usually anything written in that precludes that. I know Chair is on the Economic Development Board, and she's an advisory person on Arts and Heritage, but the advisory person doesn't have any voting authority or anything. It's more of an engagement position, so I don't believe that there is at this point.
I think it's been pretty much our habit not to do that. Anyway, all right, there's some other comments, yeah.
There is something I'm a little concerned about. I've seen a list of commissioners and the dates that their term expires a number of times. And so I think it exists in more than one place on the website with some of those being updated, some not. So I know that there's other, so if anybody's on there with an expiration date or a term end date that's behind us, that means that's an open position and somebody else can apply for it, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
and if somebody steps down. All right, back to the council for some direction with a motion and a second.
I motion that we accept both of these persons to their respective positions.
Okay, we should probably mention them by name. So Jen Soderfeld for the Parks and Rec and Elaine Hogan for the Planning Commission.
Hi, excuse me, I had my hand up, it's Jean.
Okay. All right, sorry, Jean, I missed that.
You ready?
Yeah,
Can
go
you hear
ahead,
me?
Jean, yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, I was kind of curious for the commission, and when I was on the council, there was the idea that it should be members of the city of Blue Lake, and that there was a ratio of who could be on a commission. And it needed, the person needed to be in the sphere of influence. I'd like to know if there is any knowledge of that, as far as limiting who can be outside the city of Blue Lake on commissions. So that's my question. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Actually, Matt, he just sort of explained that to us. The planning commission has to be a member of the city of Blue Lake, has to be within the city limits. But then there's other commissions such as the Economic Development Commission that does have, I think, 2 people in the sphere of influence so that we have more input from outside period. And the Arts and Heritage also, I think, has some. But
So what about Parks and Rec? Since that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, she meets requirements. She's been on the board before. So
Okay.
her residency was determined within the sphere, plus she's a teacher at Blake School, so she works in Blue Lake as well.
Yeah.
I think part of that question was how many people on a commission can be outside of the city, can live outside the city limits. I might not have heard that correctly, but that's,
Yeah, I think she just answered that with 2.
the 2 is the
And it
maximum.
varies depending on the number of people on the commission. So the Arts and Heritage is a larger commission than our typical commission. So normally they're 5, but Arts and Heritage, I believe, is 7. So it depends.
okay, there was a motion on the floor.
Yes, I move that we appoint Jen Soderfeld to the Parks and Recs Commission and Elaine Hogan to the Planning Commission.
Second. Motion made by Elise Scafani, seconded by Elizabeth McKay to appoint Jen Soderfeld to the Parks and Rec position and Elaine Hogan for the Planning Commission. Any further discussion from council? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passes. Item number 5, resolution number 1216, Tri-County Bank Master Treasury Agreement Renewal and Action. So the city of Blue Lake's financial accounts are with the Tri-Counties Bank. The city was recently notified that the city's treasury management agreement is up for renewal, and as such, the bank is requiring a resolution identifying the city's appointed representative and the resulting authorities. The city has designated the city manager to conduct the financial transactions for the city, including the designation of key staff authorized to complete various transactions for the city. Transactions include deposits, positive pay authorizations, transfers, online account management, etc. The attached resolution is required by Tri-Counties Bank in order to continue account management services. Staff recommends designating the city manager as the authorizing agent with the authority to sign the management agreement and designate specific authorities to key personnel. So I think this is fairly routine, but it is something that's important that we need to do. So open up to council for discussion or staff for further input.
Yeah, this is just our standard treasury management agreement. So this is what allows us to conduct the fiscal affairs for the city. For the city, as you know, we have a very small staff, so we have to be very particular about keeping distance and cross-checking amongst, like 4 people in the office. So we designate different positions to different staff members so that not one single person can do everything, or but there's always a cross-check. And so part of this also will allow us to add Amelie to this, to do our positive pays and different processes that we need to do for our accounting system.
How long is the term of this agreement?
I am not sure. We've been with Tri-Counties for a number of years, and this is the first time we've had to renew this management agreement. Let's see what the terms are. And the council can always come back and change this through formal action, so if there was something that you wanted to change or someone you need to remove, you can always do that as well.
So I'm assuming that Tri-County Bank is considered a contractor in this area, is that correct?
A contractor and what?
So they're working for us through this agreement, right?
Well,
working
they're
for
a
the city.
financial institution.
Right.
They're a bank.
So I'm wondering if there's any other banks that we might have looked at to do this same work for the city.
Well, a number of years ago, we were with a different bank that got bought out by Tri-Counties. So no, I would say we didn't go out through like a formal process. We stayed with our bank that was then sold to Tri-Counties, and so just assumed our fiscal management system through them.
I guess I wonder if other financial institutions, such as one of our local credit unions, might offer a similar service.
We have talked about that in the past, when we were first going to switch over to Tri-Counties. Tri-Counties is a little bit more, I would say they're a little bit more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but they do offer a level of financial management that's not readily available at like a credit union. So there's a lot of aspects to our financial management system because we're a government. We have a lot of requirements for double checking our deposits and check cashing, and there's like our positive pay system is another checks and balance that the smaller entities don't necessarily have those types of systems, but those are the checks and balances that protect the city's assets that are required that come with a larger banking institution.
So who was, on it before? Who was designated?
Me.
before?
Yeah,
So-
it's just the same.
Yeah.
It's just re-upping our master services agreement.
Right.
Any other questions from council about this item? I was looking to find
I didn't see
how
it
long
here
it was either, and I
Mhm.
don't remember seeing any. No, I didn't either. I'm looking for it, I can't see it. Okay, I'll open this up to public. Is there any comment from public? Joffrey,
I just wanted to suggest that we might want to consider that when the chief signer of checks in local government is also the person who has their hand in virtually everything in city government, it might create an appearance for an opportunity for impropriety. I know she was talking about dividing up the tasks amongst people in order to prevent that. Maybe that could be arranged in such a way that someone who disperses money is a check.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I first started on the council, I was one of the people that signed checks, and I think there was another council person, but our auditors said that it's better for the staff to sign checks, that they are more knowledgeable about what the finances are. But for a long time, we did that, and for that very same reason, that we're a small city, and, we didn't want people signing checks to themselves, basically. So there was, council persons that came in and did it.
We always have multiple check signers. We never have a single check signer.
Yeah. But it was taken away from the council a few years ago, and that was the auditor that told us that that's the protocol to use now. Kent Sawatski?
Yes, during times like this, it's kind of customary to do an RFP out there to see, what rates you're paying. I don't know, maybe you can tell me, I might have missed the part exactly how much this service costs us. That'd be a budget line item as far as banking expense goes. I do strongly like to go ditto to what your person. Checks and balances are important. So here's one of the checks and balances you might consider is that you have one staff person, two people sign your checks over a certain amount if you want to or something. You have one staff person
and one elected that represents us as far as the checks and balance system. That pretty well eliminates the chance of potential perception of improprieties, minimizes your chance of somebody, let's say 2 staff members to say, I'll go ahead and write you a check, you write me a check, and it can go through that way. Things like that have happened, so it's not unheard of. And investment is something that has been prevalent. I think our county fair system had major funds, really major funds gone there. And it's not uncommon, it's a terrible thing to have happen, but that's why checks and balances are in place, basically to preclude that from happening. And then regarding Tri-City, I'm not sure what their portfolio is, I'm not sure what they do, but I will be reaching out to a good share of the other city managers, such as Trinidad, Arcata, and Humboldt County to see what banking institutions they use. And of course, those banking institutions most likely would have the same ability to do it right. It's just something that I always like to see checked out whenever you review something. It's an RFP, and that just makes us know that everybody's going right. It also may get you a better rate when you're putting it out there because the person says, hey, I'm not guaranteed of having this roll over continually. That tends to make people kind of push their limit on their bids. They come out to speak.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this item? I better look at the screen just in case. Okay. All right, back to council for possible action.
I motion to adopt resolution number 1216.
Second. Motion by Angela Shaw, seconded by Elizabeth McKay to adopt resolution 1216, Tri-County Bank Master Treasury Agreement Renewal. Any further discussion from council before we take the vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
I will also add that we never have access to the checks. The checks always are printed by a third party. So no one person ever has access to writing a check or signing a check. So there's always 3 people involved in the issuance of any check.
That's a third person in City Hall, you mean?
Okay, moving along, we're on item 6, website review and discussion. Councilmember Scafani contacted the city's website designer and host to solicit a proposal to update the city's website. Councilmember Scafani requested that the item be placed on the agenda and the proposal attached for review and discussion. And Redwood Curtain Design is the group that you contacted.
Correct. If you look at the bottom of our current website, it says that David Hamilton designed it. David Hamilton is no longer a web designer, and his business was taken over by his partner, who is Andy, and I can't remember Andy's last name at the moment. Anyway, and that's Redwood Curtain Design. So our website is currently hosted by Redwood Curtain Design. And they offer design services and all sorts of other services. And so, just so that we would have something concrete to talk about tonight, I asked him for some information.
So it says here he's proposing 4 hours per month at a cost of $180.
This is something that I put in. This is not the refresh. The refresh proposal is in the next several pages, which is his formal proposal. And then so that's item number 1 there. And then item number 2 was the possibility / option of entering into a monthly agreement with him where he will do regular updates and work on the website. And his typical rate is $90 an hour, but when you contract for 2 hours a month, you get a 30% reduction in that. If you contract for 4 hours a month, you get a 50% reduction in that. So you're paying $45 an hour for his expertise for a 4-hour allotment per month. So my suggestion is to have a chat about that and to consider doing that. Since staff time is so limited, it seems like a reasonable and very affordable option to have somebody with this, working on that all the time.
But this is his proposal.
The
180.
proposal's on the next one, third page down.
here.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that's what I figured, 1260.
Yeah.
1260,
Yeah.
that's for, and
Yeah.
that includes, that includes 14 hours
Okay.
of his time.
Yeah, so does he do any of the other cities around here?
So,
They just do ours.
He's our current web designer, though, right?
Correct. Is that correct? Okay.
he's not the individual that originally designed our website, but he's the person that currently is doing whatever it needs. Some of our local, our neighboring cities, Arcata and Eureka use a really big web designer that does strictly civic websites for cities. And then there's quite a variety of designers that are doing Ferndale, Fortuna, Trinidad, were all the ones that I looked at. So there's, I don't recall it. I think we have a local designer that's done Fortuna as well.
So Mandy, I was wondering about the budget and whether we have some wiggle room to have this added expense. I mean, we can always do a budget amendment, I know, which is pretty common to have happen. But it seems pretty reasonable, I think, but I'm not sure that, we can afford it.
So we work with Andy quite a bit. Andy's also the web designer, and he did work on our original website. He's done the Chamber of Commerce's site. He's also doing one for the fire department. And the reason why we all chose to go together with Redwood Curtin is so that we could all benefit from trainings that each one of us is going through. So when the city has a training with Andy or one of his staff members, we always invite the chamber. We'll do the same thing with the fire department, so that we all benefit from the opportunity to kind of coexist under these same types of formats. And I haven't had a lot of time to talk to Andy about the website. I thought this item, I was a little surprised by this. I wasn't expecting a proposal to come back. We weren't contacted about what our needs were or what our issues or concerns were with the website. I thought the original item that was coming back was the council was going to look at the website and give us some feedback on items that they felt could be improved or were redundant. And then that staff would go and contact the web designer, who's our contractor, to see what opportunities were to deal with that. So I haven't really had a chance. I haven't talked to Andy about this to see what his thought process is, and how much of this could be done in-house or how much of this could be done as a co-training, so that we're continuing down the same path with the other, like I said, with the fire department and the Chamber of Commerce, to just kind of collectively build our internal capacity to manage our own websites. So I could talk a little bit more with Andy about this pricing structure. I don't know that it's a little bit more expensive than I would have thought, and so I'm not sure what his thought process is at this point for how deep he's talking about getting into the site. Emily does a lot of work on the website. She updates a lot of the information. I update a lot of the information. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. None of us are website designers. And there are areas where I think there is some redundancy that we've identified that we've, looked at changing. There's also a lot of needs that we have now that are different than we had in the past, especially in Parks and Recreation, that the use of the website for Parks and Rec is becoming more intensive, and we're also trying to back in our Rec Desk system to integrate with the website, so that people can go in and get into Rec Desk, and it's more of a seamless transaction. So you feel like you're in our website, but you're really in Rec Desk, which is where we capture waivers and information, and people can register and look at facilities, make payments through our Square system. So there's a lot of additional integration that's taking place as we're building some of our internal programs as well. So I just don't know enough about what Andy's thought process was with this proposal to make a recommendation. Can we do a budget amendment and find some funding? I'm sure we can.
Do you have any concept how many, I don't know, hours per month or how maybe that the staff spends on updating the webpage?
I would probably say it's not hours for sure. I mean, a lot of what we're updating is, just information, dates, adding agendas, adding, promotional items, flyers, different things. So we probably spend more time creating the content than we do uploading it to the site. So like I said, we definitely are growing a lot of our marketing capacity and our integration with different, social medias and different interfaces that the site needs to grow with. So it's something I think the website definitely needs to, a little bit of a makeover. I'm just not sure yet. We haven't really sat down to really synthesize what we think would be the best use of the space.
I really believe that, I don't think we need the 4 hours a month type thing, because apparently you guys have a pretty good handle on it. But of course, the refreshing, I agree with. And maybe get Andy in with you guys to figure out what we need to refresh on the site, things that some of our staff members or and council want to be that on the website. And also maybe talk to them about why this is the way the price is.
When I discussed it with him, I talked about some things, I just described to him some of the things that I found that were problems. And I think he summarizes that pretty well. On the second page of his proposal. And part of what I've observed over the last year to 2 years trying to use the website is a number of issues that have not been brought up to date. For example, it was a year ago this month that the council determined that the public could attend city council meetings in person. And our website still doesn't say that you can come in person. It says that the public is invited to participate by Zoom, and it doesn't say anywhere on the website that we're at the Skinner's Hill and you can walk in and get in the room with us. So, that's something that, and I understand too, it's just sometimes when you look at something all the time, you stop seeing it. I think we all know how that works. When you're looking at the document or you're looking past the same things all the time, you don't see certain things. So for the city staff to be the ones working on this all the time, they may not be catching some of these things because that's kind of how the brain works, and the eye doesn't catch stuff that you're used to all the time. So I'd like to recommend that we have some more involvement of persons that don't always work on the website to take a look at this and possibly create an ad hoc committee to work on it so that we are able to bring the concerns of not just city staff and the council but the community into making this website something that serves everybody and something we can all be proud of.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the council on this one?
I think it would be, I think it behooves everyone to give Mandy an opportunity to meet with Andy.
It's been a brunch.
It did. My brain was not working for about a second. To give Mandy an opportunity to meet with Mandy so that she can get a better understanding of, as she said, what his thought process is and, time commitment and that kind of thing. I would prefer to do that and then bring it back to the agenda so that we have a broader scope of information in which to work with.
So you're thinking of directing staff to meet with Andy from this company and maybe getting a better handle on what he's proposing.
Right.
And if you have specifics that you've already noticed, if you shared that with, you know, the people who are working on the website, that would be.
I've already done that.
It's always
numerous times.
helpful.
Yeah, I've done that numerous times over the
Okay.
last year. And a lot of those problems are still there. So that's part of the reason I felt like it was appropriate to be proactive in looking at this.
Okay, well, any other comments from council? We can open it up to the
Right, so
public.
is that clear that we want you to check in with Andy? And maybe if you want to recap whatever it is that you specifically noticed and put it all in one spot. If you want those.
I can do that.
Addressed, that would be helpful.
Yeah, because that's what he's gonna want anyways. Anytime you work with a web designer, they're gonna want you to go through the layout, and then, you know, you kind of have to mind map the whole thing back, so how everything gets connected back, and so he's gonna want those layouts and the changes identified, where we're having issues, where we'd like things changed. So it really is, it's almost more of a visual process at that point that's really helpful. That is what he's gonna require anyways. So if you have that, that would be helpful to get us started in the process.
Well, it would certainly be an interactive process. He explained that he starts his process, and I think that's part of the proposal, where he starts by going in there and spending some hours doing research and seeing what's there and how everything's working and looking for problems that he can identify. And then he brings that back to whoever he's working with, and starts, moving things around and changing stuff. And then, you go through several checks, where he has a draft and you check on the draft and you go back with him. So it's a very interactive process with him. He doesn't just go in and decide what to change. He goes in to understand what he's working with, and then he works back and forth with you to get it just right.
And you said, Mandy, that he works with the Chamber of Commerce, the Sunny, is that the Sunny
The Sunny
Lake?
Lake, yeah.
Okay.
And he's also building the fire
So the
department.
fire department is starting, okay, all right, so we could do something like directing staff to meet with Andy on this,
And maybe
his
just
company.
discuss this and see if, and can we allow, money to be moved if need be?
Yeah, we can do a budget amendment. We're
Okay.
about ready to do something like that anyway, I think so.
Would it require a budget amendment is one of my questions.
Well, it depends on what budget item it would fall under.
And it depends on the pricing structure. So if we don't have it identified in our budget, then we would need to do a budget amendment, to add the money over.
I'm going to open it up for public, if anyone would like to talk on this matter. Kent Swansky. if you
Oh,
wanna-
Yeah, I strongly, what I do is I do deals, that's what I do. There's something called bundling, and if you're able to negotiate a contract with the fire department, the Chamber of Commerce, and yourself in one bundle with this person, and maybe you have an agreement with total time, one department might need quite a bit of hours, where another one doesn't, but frequently that can save you a lot of money by having a proposal with this person rather than having 3 separate contracts. You have one quite simple process. I did want to reiterate something that Elise, your council member Elise said there, in that a lot of what you're doing and a lot of what when I read Chris's thing, you have people who do web designing in Blue Lake. Some of them probably nowhere near the quality of Andy. But if you set up an ad hoc committee and you get input from those people, then you're allowing the people to feel like they're part of the process. Some of them will have great ideas. It's kind of a think tank, and the ad hoc committee process has worked exceptionally well in many instances. So I'll pick 2 of you, pick a couple people from the public who would like to participate, do a little brainstorming, look at the thing, and then that gives you some other outside expert opinions to work with you folks on a topic. And I found that to be very effective in many of the places I go to. I did also want to give you a really quick story. Supervisor Steve McGrone basically had problems in his district. He went directly to the workforce to get some people up to help him. Had a commitment from them, and then he went and he did this on his own, without the rest of the board saying anything. And then the sheriff said, "Well, they can't do it; they won't get a hold of me." Steve had the guy on the phone within a few minutes. Yes, we can do it. So I always appreciate you folks going out the box and spending your own time, like Elise did, to bring the story so we can talk about this and something to bring forward. Because otherwise, we wouldn't have any idea on prices. Now we have an idea where you might go. And so I strongly suggest those of you who have a cause that you want to go after, to go out and invest a little bit of your time. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. You're not committing anybody to a contract, but that's how things are brought to the table and speed up quite rapidly because you already have something to work with. It's not you to speak.
Becky?
I just want to say something about the website and not really the contract or anything, but being a web page designer. The one thing I just want to say is when you're taking into consideration the whole thing, please make it simpler. It needs to be one page here, one page there, instead of drawing it out longer. So I just, when you take that into consideration, when things are happening, maybe they can be revised a little bit to make it a little simpler and user-friendly.
And Jeffrey?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I would love to see a secure portal for paying a water bill. That'd be great. I'd love that. That's all.
And I see a couple. There isn't? For some reason, I thought there was. Okay.
You can do bill pay, but we don't have one for the city yet, but we are working on it. Okay. Feature.
Yeah, I see that.
Julie was up first.
Okay, Julie, go ahead, Julie.
Hey guys, thanks again. I'm struggling to open the feedback. I want to go back to my suggestion of shadowing out Arcata City Council's webpage. They really have a good, simple layout, as they mentioned, but also, like Mandy mentioned, a little bit more accessibility to facilitate actions of utilities within the city scope. Another good example I'd like to give you guys is Fortuna City's webpage. They also have theirs formatted very similar to Arcata, where we have a little bit of public dispute sometimes with the availability of minutes and agendas and recordings. Two of those local cities have prime examples of how they facilitate theirs. Perhaps it would be good to reach out to them and see who facilitates their web pages and get some advice. We are all a tribe within our county and our cities. And also remaining active with Humboldt Access. I'd really like to see that we maintain that. Just because the rest of the cities and the county prioritize that as well. So we're kind of staying on the same forum that way. So thank you for listening to my comments. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie. Jean?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a mention of bundling with the fire department on a web page, and the Lake the fire district is a complete different entity than the city council. There is no agreement between the fire departments, and so I imagine you would have to go to the board to ask about that involvement with the fire department and whether or not they would want to. That was just all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean. Okay, let's see, any other comments? Yes.
I'm just kind of reiterating what everyone's already said. Making it more simple would be nice. I do think it looks really good, actually, considering that you guys do it on your own. I don't think it'd be easy by any means. I don't know if this is something pertaining to the web designer or it's fixable, but just missing anything in general. I don't know whether or not it's just what's there could be there. If he comes in, doesn't overhaul, if agendas are going to appear that haven't been there for a year. That's something that's been a concern. I do have specific months written down. I'd be happy to turn in. But yeah, I do think it looks good. I think maybe just like an overhaul a few times a year, maybe not 4 hours of every month, but perhaps just like a couple times a year, take a little better look at it or something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Angela.
Yeah, Angela here. So thank you for letting me speak on this matter. So
the city manager and I had for years communicated via Facebook Messenger, and that communication ended abruptly December 12th when I began inquiring through Facebook Messenger about the whereabouts of Otis, the vicious dog that brought Winona's dog Handsome to death's door. I was concerned about the safety of our community.
Does this have anything to do with what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's certainly right around. I got no response when I asked Mandy about this. I hit a brick wall. It was at this brick wall moment I began looking for answers. I went to our city website in search of those answers. Instead of answers, I found broken links, missing and or outdated info. It's difficult to find the answers when there are so many different places it appears to look. Even finding information about who's in charge of dog issues, etc. So in this post-pandemic era, our access to timely and correct information is necessary. More and more citizens, young and old, tech savvy to not tech savvy like me, I'm not tech savvy, need a more user-friendly web page. I'm in agreement we need to give it a facelift because we do all work for the people of Blue Lake, and we want to give them access, easy access. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from public? All right, back to council for possible action.
So can I revisit that ad hoc that's at least brought up? Is anyone interested? I'm totally overbooked right now, so I can't commit to being on an ad hoc, but if anybody else is interested in being on an ad hoc?
I would do it. I don't know, do we have to have 2 council members, or can we do it with
Not
one?
necessarily. I don't
Not
know.
necessarily, but we usually do when we have an ad hoc committee, we usually have to. I wouldn't mind working on it.
I think it's a good idea.
I wouldn't mind. I'm not tech savvy, but maybe that's a good thing.
Well, that's
Well,
good.
I mean, you don't need to be.
If I
We're just
can't
gonna
do
work there.
it, then no one can do it.
We're just gonna be
Most
there to
people
get the
are not
public's
tech savvy,
input.
so
We're not gonna be the ones
you
doing
get
it.
You look at it as a user.
identifying the issues.
Well, I
Setting
like the
priorities.
Chamber of Commerce website. I think it's really well done.
All right, well,
I
do you
go
guys
to
want to
it
do
all.
an ad hoc? Can we?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you would like to do that,
Great.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
I think, well, part of the purpose of an ad hoc is so that we can move along a little quicker, a little faster than the speed of government, which is, snail's pace.
Will you have members from the public also to sign up to be on that, or?
I would like to.
Structure?
Yeah,
Thank
so, I think, anybody who's interested, you could let us know after the meeting. And also, we'll figure out a way to put that out to everybody, so other people, we might even have like a little mini town hall, meeting about the website and gather information from folks.
That'd be nice.
So, it could be a nice community project, like, as was mentioned, where folks, feel involved and take a little pride in our end product and that sort of thing.
Check out Cloverdale. A lot of what Cloverdale's doing, I love Cloverdale. Look at that, all the different websites.
I mean, all of these cities are a lot larger than Blue Lake. I mean,
Yeah.
Trenton, obviously, but they
Yeah, but they have a lot of money.
They have money, yeah. Which we don't have as well. Yeah, they're smaller
Are they really smaller
than
than
us.
that?
Yeah,
And their city limits is smaller?
I don't know about that.
They have a lot more business.
And I think they have more population too.
No, they don't.
They don't.
I don't think so. All right, I'm getting away from the subject.
Yeah.
All right, so it sounds like the desire of the council is to form an ad hoc committee. And ad hoc committees are usually not a long-term committee. There's something that are just done as needed, and they're usually not lengthy in terms of how many, it's not a yearly thing. It's different from a commission in that sense, just to let people know. We can form that, we can,
And it can only
mention
have
by
two,
name,
because you
yeah.
can't have a quorum.
Right.
So,
So you can't have any more than
From the
two, but it's
council
good to
only.
have two and one in the top.
Yeah.
And so we can mention those folks by name, and then, any other direction you want to give to city staff concerning meeting with the designer. I don't know if that's part of it. Maybe we should just have this committee first and then move on
No,
from
I think
there.
it's important that Mandy had an opportunity to pick
Bring
Andy's brain.
Yeah, bring something to the ad hoc
Yeah.
committee and the public who want to be involved.
Well, I think that the interaction that's gonna happen with Andy is gonna take a lot of participation from Andy, and city staff, other city staff, so that, you know, it's not like this is gonna happen in a silo kind of a situation. It's gonna be a cooperative effort with everybody. So it can't happen just with the ad hoc committee. It has to involve, Mandy and any other city staff that's, needs to have input on that. So I just wanna, you know, I just kinda wanna, it feels like maybe there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of the process, but the process involves everybody. It couldn't exist without Mandy's input.
Right. Well, what I was thinking, what I'm concerned about is it's really not agendized as that we're going to form an ad hoc committee. Can we do that without it being a specific? It's, yeah.
You can take,
I mean, I'm not
your
sure how to take
agenda says
action.
that you can take action.
They are
Direct,
subject to action.
Website review and discussion.
I mean,
It's really just a discussion.
Well,
And I think,
also-
but
I
also
think-
this, yes, all items on the agenda are subject to action.
Well, yeah.
So.
And it's really not,
I don't know.
I don't
That's
think
my only question.
creating an ad hoc is, I think you'll be fine. I think it's okay.
Okay.
Because
I'm
you're
not
not directing
gonna
them
sue about
to
it.
take action.
Well,
You're not giving the ad hoc any authority or directing them to do anything except to get information. So it's almost like the same as a directive to staff at that point. It's like a fact finding. I mean, the ad hoc can't bind you to anything, so.
So
It's just that it wasn't agendized.
You wanna wait?
It wasn't agendized. Yeah, we were gonna form an ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
I had somebody might say, well, where did this ad hoc committee come from? I
Sure.
didn't see it on your agenda or anything.
If
That's
you
where
want
it
to
is.
direct staff to work with Andy to get a better handle on what this proposal means and then bring
It's
it
not
back.
gonna be like that ad hoc though, because you're gonna have to gather information.
Yeah, well,
here,
here, okay.
I've got two conversations going, sorry.
Yeah, let's come together. Okay, so my concern is that it wasn't agendized as an ad hoc committee was going to be formed, but it seems like that's okay, you're feeling. And what is your concern over here?
Oh, that Mandy isn't gonna be part of the ad hoc committee?
Well, she can't.
I'm staff,
Okay.
so I'm at your direction.
Yeah, I mean, she could be pulled in for questioning and consulting and.
You tour the ad hoc committee and then whoever else who wants to join.
As long as they're not council members. right?
Yes.
All right, for a motion
All right,
then?
do we have to motion on it? I don't think so, right?
Because we're not making any changes, we're just.
Someone trying to get in.
You guys are just gonna go out for coffee.
We're just gonna meet.
And,
Talk only about this.
part of the reason the you know, some number of hours per month was something that I thought might be useful is I think that when you do a major overhaul, you don't get it all the first time around. Even if you're gonna spend, you know, 10, 20 hours doing it, you're probably gonna miss some stuff. So that was one of the reasons I thought it would be smart to have Andy have some sort of an agreement with him to come back monthly and just keep working on things.
Well, how about if you guys do the ad hoc committee and go out and do this stuff and then bring it back and we can talk about the findings? Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, we are moving on then to item 7. Social media policy and public communication. General information, Councilmember Scafani has requested a discussion regarding the city's protocol for public outreach and information dissemination. As part of the discussion, a review of the city's policy on social media is recommended. And we had a very good meeting, special meeting over at it ended up happening at the park, at the skating rink, party room, where we had our lawyer present, and he discussed quite a few issues when it comes to social media. And I mean, the interesting thing is that as a council person, we're very limited as to how much we should be posting on social media. You know, as soon as there's over 2 people posting, a councilperson's posting on social media, then it again looks like a serial meeting, or, that you're making some decisions without a formal meeting. And I know these council meetings seem a little formal and maybe a little uncomfortable for people, but that's so that everything that's done is done out in the open, and that we're following the Brown Act, we're following the rules of order that have been set by the state of California. And that was pretty clear, I think, in our meeting with the lawyer at the last special meeting that we had. So having said that, would you like to talk about what you were concerned about?
Sure. So I'm kind of coming at this from a few different angles. One of them was the fact that we have so many Blue Lake web Facebook pages, and we have 3,000 members on this one, and 700 on this one, and 200 on this one, and I feel like things are getting kind of fractured, and if people want to stay up, they got to be checking 3 different places, and this sort of thing, and I went looking at Arcata and realized that they have a Facebook page, and the city uses that as their official posting page, and they notice programs and events that are city sponsored. They notice all of their commission and council meetings there. It's not a discussion page, it's an open public page where people can follow it rather than join it. And that looks to me to be the best and most professional way to promote, right?
Yeah,
great idea.
I mean, it'd be a good spot. I mean, especially, I know the skating rink is doing stuff like that.
Right, and Blue Lake, I think it's Blue Lake Parks, Recreation, and Skating Rink has a Facebook page exactly like that.
It's doing great.
They have almost 2,000 followers, and so on. And so I feel like the city of Blue Lake should create a page like that, where it's strictly business. The current page, Blue Lake Happenings, has the same artwork on it as does our city website, so that appears to be a council/city sanctioned page, which it is not. So I feel like, and it's, I'm trying to stay up on what's on there, and I've seen the pizza company promoted a number of times on there, and the coffee shop promoted, but I haven't seen other businesses in town promoted there. So I feel like it looks like it's a city site, but it's not being administered like in a business-like way, right? It shouldn't. If we're going to have something that looks like it's a city-sponsored thing, it needs to be administered in a completely equitable and fair fashion. So I would like to propose that the Blue Lake Happenings page, that banner be taken down so that it's not identified as a Blue Lake city sanctioned page, and that we take and create a new page that is.
We have no authority on people putting pictures on their Facebook pages.
We don't, but when we have a banner that says City of Blue Lake on somebody's page, and 2 city employees are the administrators of that page, it looks like it's a city page. And that has the appearance of impropriety, in my opinion.
And we have been maintaining it as city employees to promote Blue Lake and to promote business and recreation activities without the other influences, because we felt that that your right lines were getting crossed, and there were we had been working on that Facebook page for almost a year as we were starting to build up Parks and Recreation. We were using the Parks and Recreation page, but some activities weren't as associated with just Parks and Recreation, but they were more Blue Lake in general, and we wanted to have a positive face where it wasn't a lot of commentary, it wasn't dialogue, it wasn't asking for a lot of commentary, but it was just promoting positive things happening in our community. So if the pizza company was serving in the park, they're part of
they're using our facilities, are in our park program, so we use that as an opportunity to promote. We've been promoting about Little League getting started and special events that are happening without any type of political agenda or social conscience or issue with any back and forth. We just didn't want to be part of that. So we tried to just create that kind of clean space for, like I said, promoting business, economic development is really important to us. We have Emily's our economic development planner, working with a lot of businesses, our market. So it's all part of, city function. It's just, like I said, it's just kind of without all the additional commentary.
So can we roll that site, since it's already there, into one?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is more, since it already came from the city.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
Make it official instead of putting like more events and meetings and stuff like that on there.
Yeah, we can
Commentary,
easily do
is
that.
So they limit, you can make it so there's no commentary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
That'd
an
be
information,
nice.
it's just an information page on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Go
be great.
along with one
We
of the
could do that,
things.
since it's already, it looks
Now-
like it is a city site.
The links, if you guys don't know how it works very well, but the links can still be shared to other pages, personal pages, and then be commented on.
Right.
Oh.
But it cannot count, you cannot comment on the page itself.
Right.
Which is fine.
We can still,
And we've been
yeah, because
monitoring
everybody's
the
right.
commentary, so, if it's someone just putting something positive, we've allowed that. Like I said, these are pretty benign types of posts, but I think they reflect well on the city and the activities, and, we'll be posting about the Easter egg rock hunt coming up and things. So it's a place where people can go to see what's happening in Blue Lake as far as activities, park stuff, but just without all the additional
I think
stuff that comes along with
more
it.
commission and meeting stuff.
Yeah, we can start posting those as
That'd
well.
be better.
And I was gonna say that goes along with something that we talked about at the last meeting, which is in the case of needing sandbags for flooding and that kind of thing. Emergency information can be posted on that as well.
Yeah.
So that people say, well, where are we getting sandbags, or what are we doing with the flooding that's going on, if that's what's going on.
So can we have some sort of an agreement that things that go on that page are things that are sanctioned by the city? If they're not a meeting or a survey or a program of some kind that is a city program, that we're posting things that are not likely to become really controversial or become an issue.
So
that
are
it's-
you meaning like the pizza company?
Well, from
Is that
a
controversial?
business perspective, I think that it's important that we don't look like we're favoring any one business, even if they are in the park. I feel like that's important. And we can have, when a new business opens, we can say, hey, this is a new offering we have here in the park. Here they are, these are the days and times they're gonna be operating here. But when we have lots of, every week we have a new post about the pizza company, I feel like that's really showing favoritism.
Well, it does drive revenue for the park as well. I mean, that's part of the partnership that we have, that it's an amenity that's bringing people out to the park as well. And so we've partnered with them for skating, it brings people out, so they spend more money, which is good for us because we get sales tax revenue. I
And
mean, there's a
they
whole-
can make their own posts, but when you make a post for them, you're speaking for the city, right? So, I mean, they're welcome to put their own post on the other page, or any page, when they're posting for themselves. But I think when the city posts, when a city employee posts, it shows that the city is supporting this.
Absolutely, we're
And
supporting it.
Yeah, but we don't need to support it every week, because then it looks like favoritism.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's favoritism. I would say that it's, we're trying to do what we can to keep that little business going in partnership with Parks and Recreation.
Same with the
Well-
doghouse, the doghouse is the same treatment,
She posts her own stuff. Yep. The city doesn't post for her.
posted on the same page though.
Right, but she posts it. Darcy is posting her own menus. Mandy's not posting Darcy's menus and promoting Darcy's business. That's how I see the difference.
Well, the chamber used to highlight business well, they were trying to do it every month, and then they haven't really been doing that. But that's really a Chamber of Commerce business to promote a certain business every month or every few months, or however they want to do that.
Do they have a Facebook page? Or do they have a?
They have a
The
website,
chamber? Yeah, the
Sunny Blue Lake.
Just a website? They don't have a Facebook page, right?
I don't think they
No,
do.
they've talked about kind of getting that going.
They have Sunny Blue Lake, and that was where they were featuring a business every few months.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a
that's a
function of a
website.
chamber to do that, to promote businesses, so
Sure.
it was absolutely appropriate. In this case, it's more or less that the city is having a business that's there right before the skating rink, so that if it is bringing people into skating, then that is helping the city with their skating revenue, as well as the doghouse. I suppose, they're on city property, but we're not really promoting anything along with the doghouse, because she doesn't meet when.
Well, it's important for us to provide support where we can. I mean, we've done that. We have incubated and helped to start a number of businesses. Even Keiko's Coffee Shop was started with a loan from the city. We've really worked to try and promote the downtown and help people, get going, because we need it. We need the economy. The city funded an economic development planner position specifically to try and promote business and get business going and create a climate in the community that's favorable to business. So we do have a direct connection to it. We've never not supported a business. We've had lots of businesses who have reached out to us to partner. We've offered grants through COVID. We supported several businesses with small business grants. And those were offered to all of our businesses, whether they participated or not. That was up to that business. But we have tried to do what we can to promote things. We promote Del Arte a lot. They're really trying to get their feet under them, and so we do what we can to partner with them. We cross market on their website. We're doing some promotions. We're advertising Parks and Recreation in some of their marketing material, because it reaches a larger audience and stuff. So there's a lot of collaboration taking place in the business community in the city. Just because we're so small, it would be crazy for us to not be supporting each other. So.
Well, we can support each other in a lot of ways, and I think we should, absolutely. But I feel like, we have to have the appearance of equity across all the businesses, and we need to give everybody an opportunity to be promoted. So, that's part of the whole transparency, community, equity thing, it has to extend to everybody.
Yes. Well, if it's something that's done actually on city property, it's different than a private business.
I don't think it is. Actually, it's a private business that's renting a space on city property. Just like any of us could rent the serving booth and have a business over there. So I feel like it's not different. It's a private business. The city hasn't hired them to make pizza. We're not paying their wages and their expenses and their benefit and their profits coming to the city. It's a private business. So yeah, I feel like we should support everybody in town who's trying to make a living. Absolutely. But we need to figure out the best way to do that.
Right.
That is equitable and, and shows our support all across the board. Because otherwise, it doesn't look right.
So what would a time frame be, Mandy, for converting either converting the information from Blue Lake Halflings to an official city social media page, or just creating that?
I think it's pretty simple. We just have to go in and change a few things.
You can turn off the comments tonight.
Yeah.
And then would the name change with the, I'm getting into the weeds here, but then would the name change
we could do like City of Blue Lake, or we
Yeah.
could change it. I mean,
Okay.
we tried to make it something fun and not
Right.
just the city government.
Right.
Because who wants to go look at a city government Facebook page? Because, it's, so the Blue Lake Happenings was, like I said, to promote activities in Blue Lake. Because we're trying to bring people out here. We're trying to bring them out here to recreate and eat and enjoy Blue Lake and spend some money. So that's why we came up with Blue Lake Happenings, because it wasn't about anything else except things that were happening in Blue Lake. So that's why we wanted to just get rid of, stay outside of the other commentaries.
It might be a good idea to just change it over to, I mean, not to convert it. You could leave it alone and just create a whole new one and take the pertinent posts and put them on the new one, just start fresh.
Just dump it and dump the 200 members and
Yeah,
just start
because
another
the new
government
page,
page.
the new page isn't gonna have members. The new page, there will be no members. So it's a different kind of format, like your Parks and Rec
Professional.
page.
Not like a personal page.
Please stop. It's not appropriate.
We're having a council discussion, and we'll be opening it up to the public in a few minutes, thanks. Because we do have a hand up at Zoom also. So let's talk about this. So we have an established Facebook page. It seems to be working well. There's a way to monitor it that we won't have a lot of politics involved in or comments or that kind of thing. It's simply for disseminating information, and it won't be boring, and it won't look tawdry or something. It'll be still interesting. So I don't see any reason to dump it at this point. That's my opinion.
Well, I think you and I are on two different ends of the argument completely. It's not about whether we maintain that as a city. It's not about whether it's tasteful or not. It's about whether or not we want the face of the city to be that page. I personally do not. I want the face of the city to be an official page where all public, everybody who's on Facebook can access it, see what's being posted, follow it, be up to speed on things that are happening. I would like the city of Blue Lake to mirror the professionalism of, say, the city of Arcata. And that's where I got the idea. I didn't just hatch it in my own little cranium. They're promoting all of their governments. They're promoting all their commission meetings, their council meetings, the Parks and Recs events, programs, things like that. It's a professional thing. Well, Blue Lake Happenings is fun. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not a professional page that is sanctioned by the city of Blue Lake and the council.
But there's 200 followers of it that if we're going to do away with it, we're doing away with 200.
That's okay. There's 3,000 followers on another Blue Lake page. And so all the people that are on, those 200 people that are on that page are also on this other page, I would venture to guess. They're all the same folks. They're still going to be getting all the same information because there's no limit to who can post on the other page. There's all the menus and all the events are still happening on the other community page. So nobody's going to get lost. That information's still there.
What's the pleasure of the council on this item? Before I want it up to public.
Let's hear from the public and then we can twist our brains some more.
All right. I'll open it up to public comment. I'm seeing some hands that have been up here for a while. So Lynn, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Thank you, Adeline. I agree with Elise. I think that there does need to be an official page for the city that maybe has the agenda on it. I think one of the pages, I can't keep them straight because there's several Facebook pages now on Blue Lake, but I posted the agenda on that page sometimes just to encourage people to get involved in government. And I think Lori Dengler recently kind of did a personal experiment of how to communicate with the public, and she found that Facebook was the fastest and most effective way that she was able to do that. So I think Facebook is a good venue for official information as well, and I think maybe the Blue Lake Happenings could be sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. or some less official body. I don't know, however you want to do that, but I support Elise in having more of an official page for Blue Lake. That would be separate from the casual fun approach, which we also, I think, need and has been successful. The other thing I'm hoping Elise will talk more about is and Mandy brought this up, she's asking staff to post on social media. And I think that's a good idea, but there needs to be a real clear communication between a person speaking as a representative of the city and a person being a private citizen. Recently on that page, there was some posts by Blue Lake staff person, and I think it wasn't clear if they were posting as a private citizen or a staff person, and they were somewhat threatening. That was interpreted that way by myself and a couple other people. And I worked in the county, and there was a lot of discussion over the years of what I could do as an official representative of the county versus a private citizen. And I'm wondering if the training, Adeline, that you talked about from your attorneys was included city staff, as we have this whole new era of social media. It's just a different way of communicating. To make it clearer for staff to know what their legal and personal responsibilities are as the city representative. So I'm hoping Elise will talk a little bit more about that piece. It's a big piece, I know, with social media and public information. And I think it's great because I think that people are getting more involved in government through social media, but their staff needs to know pretty clearly, I think, what they should and can and cannot do legally. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean, did you
Hi.
chime in? Hi.
Yeah, thank you, Elise and Lynn. I also have concerns for inappropriate use of a site for the city of Blue Lake. Things kind of get carried away sometimes, and having more structure, I think would be better. But I wanted to bring up something, and it has to do with, I want to read something, and it's from our merchandising, advertising, and signs prohibited acts from the rules for the city of Blue Lake, which we all worked really hard to bring together and to modernize. And this one has to do with the park and the park system. And I noticed on a lot of the site that's happening right now, there's a lot of interest in the park and things that are happening. And I want to read this. I want to take the time to do this. It's 1204-080, merchandising, advertising, signs, and prohibited acts for the city of Blue Lake, and that's our laws here. No person in the park system shall A, expose or offer for sale any article or thing, nor shall he or she station or place any cart, stand, cart, or vehicle for the transportation, sale, or display of any article or thing, except any regularly licensed concessionaire acting by and under the authority and regulation of the Park and Recreation Commission. Announce, advertise, or call the public attention in any way to an article or service for hire, for sale or hire, except by permit, and to see paste, glue, tack, or otherwise post any sign, placard, advertisement, or inscription, whatever, nor shall any person erect or cause to be erected any sign, whatever, in the park system. So a lot of what I've seen lately, there's a lot of advertising for the park, and what I'm not seeing is the Park and Recreation Involvement Commission involvement in this, and I would like to bring that to the attention of the council. And I think that's all I have to say. That kind of sums up what I'm thinking. I'd like to see more control by the Park and Recreation Commission on what is happening within the park. There's a lot of involvement in sales and procedures, and it's very exciting, but we do have a Park and Recreation Commission that should be more involved. And thank you for your time.
Thank you,
On
Jean.
mute.
Thank you. Anyone else from audience? Kent?
Coming from a public viewpoint, I think it would be wise for you when you're using any form of social media to only put city business on there that you would be willing to put on your website. And if you use that as a guiding principle, that you're only going to do city business on that thing, I think you won't run afoul as far as getting involved in things that might be inappropriate. I mean, just make that your kind of thing. We'll put it on there. Regarding the perception that you would be advertising for a single business, I think that's something that you need to avoid. I think there are other ways that you can help enable the person to get their advertising out there. But I think it would be inappropriate to have the perception that you were showing some favoritism, even just because they were part of your program and part of your park there. Advertising is worth a lot of money, and some people would say that was actually a gifting of public funds if you're going to go enable somebody to have a whole bunch of free advertising just because they happen to be on your facility. I do strongly support a policy and procedure and protocol with both the council and your employees should be included in this, where they are not to engage in social media as an employee that has to do with city business. They can be on there any other social media things they want to be, but it's always perceived then that they're representing the city. There's no way to avoid that. If you know somebody says this and they're out there. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. There's other procedures in other jurisdictions to preclude. That's the benefit of being an employee. In exchange for that, you're not going to possibly have the public perception you're representing the city. They should not be commenting on city business. There's plenty of other things to deal with. And I think they should be precluded from that. Give you an opportunity to speak.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Verda Pitts.
Roberta?
Verda Pitts.
Oh, Verda.
I just was gonna say, for the pizza company, would it be a problem, I know you guys can answer, but to just advertise the pizza company more regularly on the Parks and Rec page because it is more intertwined with them? I can see how maybe on a Friday night, it would make sense to advertise the pizza company the same night as skating is open, but maybe just like on the Parks and Rec page as opposed to the one that is being established as the city page as opposed to the Parks and Rec page. Also, we had a City of Blue Lake page, I thought. It has the emblem for the city hall. I don't know if that's just a thing. And then I would just really ask that if we're gonna do this, that it's non-biased presentation of information. It should be as if a clerk, were presenting it. Really unbiased, I think, is what everyone deserves. It's gonna make everyone more open to be involved, and nobody wants to deal with the messy drama that there's been. I think nobody wants to be pushing people away from being involved, and just by giving people facts and it not feeling like you're already judged for going one way or the other, is just in everyone's best interest. So just really non-biased, factual presentation of information with no feelings attached. That's all.
Becky?
So I just wanted to remind everybody here that I was the one that created the community page for Blue Lake back in 2015. I've taken all these years and taken all my time to diligently make sure that things always run smoothly. No, they're not going to. As an admin of a page, it's not easy. Things happen and things are there. Everybody has different opinions. So I just want to remind you all that it'll always be there. It's not going anywhere. And I still like to see it as one of our main ways of communicating in Blue Lake.
Thank you.
Well, I love that page, and I think it's, people really appreciate that. But I also like the idea of the separation of the city official page. So that would, I really love that idea.
Okay. Any other comment? Yes.
Hi. So I agree that I would like to see the Blue Lake Happenings page, because it is more of a, like a personal Facebook page as it stands, I would agree that we would like, we the public would like a professional page that corresponds, like everyone is saying, with the City Hall website. Once the website is revamped, then a lot of the things, you know, that you can go back and forth between the website and the Facebook page. I think that's a great idea. We need somewhere where we can access, you know, the information. So I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Any other comment?
can I add one more thing because I didn't take up 3 minutes? I would like to say that the city is all of us who live here. All of us citizens that live in Blue Lake, we are the city. It's not this building, it's not the people who work here. All of us who live here are Blue Lake, the city. So I would like us to have more input as to, you know, what's happening. So thank you.
Yes. Justin, and then I think, is there someone on Zoom? Julie, okay.
I personally don't think the happenings page should be changed or converted. I think it should be a completely separate thing. I initially was kind of leaning towards allowing the happening page to have, you know, to promote the pizza company because it actually benefits the city. But I can also understand how that could be perceived. So I don't think the happenings page should be affected. They can still kind of do what they want, but I think that making an actual city page where there's no comments, there's no anything like that, where it's completely locked down, where it is either an employee or a member of the council putting out information such as meetings, such as events, just the basics of information of what's going on in Blue Lake.
Thank you. Julie? Hi, Julie.
Sorry, guys. I just did you out of my pocket. So my suggestions are, I think your City of Blue Lake page is great. You really aren't getting a lot of rebuttal from anybody from the community on that page. It's really awesome with just posting what's happening. But I suggest you get an admin, and within your admin, you know, gloriness, you get to decide who's posting, just check the comments first and stuff. Because, you know, you got to figure, as much as you guys are trying to censor out maybe 10% of negative, the other 90% is really positive for our city and a lot of events. So as we're trying to get more people into the city, if we're then, I'm being attacked too. I'm trying to talk, but I'm being attacked. We want to have a form that, like, okay, I want to bring my kids out to skate. Can I respond to this and ask a question? Can I get an answer back about the Easter thing or something like that? So I think I'd be cautious about limiting it for public input on a personal level, just because, again, 90% of what you're promoting in your city is positive. We want people to come out and be involved, and communication involves that. As far as worrying about the community page on Blue Lake, you just gotta let it go. I mean, McKinleyville only has their community page. It's the only page they have. There's 8,000 people, and it's, you know, admin the best they can. But do they worry about their, you know, what people are getting an impression of their city from their community page? I don't think so. So I agree with the city wanting to kind of have their own personal space. I think the page you already have, City of Blue Lake, is perfect. You only have 2 other competing ones for Blue Lake, which is the community page, and then kind of more the open answers and questions page. But we're not really competing with much space, but I think just getting an admin, still allowing a little bit of community input because you're doing some awesome events. That's kind of my advice as well for the moment being on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Any other public input? Okay, back to council for possible action. It seems to me, and maybe someone else can remind me if this is not how it is, but it city staff is allowed to comment on on posts if they do it during their off hours, like during their breaks, their lunches, and before and after their workday. They're not allowed to do it during their city workday. Is that?
It's a fine line. I mean, we've had this, there's been a lot of negativity in the community page. There's been a lot of attacks on staff. And I think, what we've come to, it's hard not to react. It's hard not to react when it's really frontal. And what we have decided collectively is that we just aren't going to engage in that process because there's no point in it. And so there was some initial commentary, a little bit back and forth. Staff did not represent themselves as staff. They didn't post as, city manager or public works director or anything like that. But they did defend themselves to a certain extent. And I think it went, it just went too low. And I think we are rising above that and we're not going to engage. And I've talked with staff about just not even looking at those pages. Just don't look at them. It's, we are not going to go back and forth. We're not going to spend time. We have plenty of work to do. We're not going to spend time engaging on social media. If we need to put something out from our position, we can do that, but we're not going to engage in a bunch of dialogue back and forth because it's a rabbit hole, and it just wastes too much time, honestly. And there's plenty, like I said, there's plenty of work for us to do. So our position is, that social media has a place, and for us as city staff, that place is to help promote the city of Blue Lake, to help promote our programs, to help disseminate information when we can, but it's not a place to engage in back and forth commentary. So that's part of, I know people tag me all the time in questions on social media, and I've said over and over again, it's not a proper forum. If you need to get a hold of me, you know how to do it. You can call me at City Hall, you can come into my office, you know where I live, but we're just not going to use that as our format for public engagement. So we're happy to use social media in a way that's more controlled and more in the box, and that seems to fit our needs better.
I like Justin's idea of having a city website that is like more professional, like Elise recommended, that's like Arcada's, just
Facebook, right? Not website, Facebook.
Facebook, yeah, that's what I meant.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
More professional, have our commissions, have just city business going on. And then, of course, your Blue Lake Happenings page, I think should stay exactly the way it is. More events, vendors, stuff like that, that's going to be happening in Blue Lake.
Somebody brought up the fact that there's always seems to be a question that somebody's asking about an event that's happening. So, unless there's a comment about it, I think the questions can be answered.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been moderating. It seems to be working well. We're all kind of moderating that happenings page so that we can get people information when they need it. And it seems to be really staying in its lane. We haven't really seen anything kind of go outside because what we've been posting and promoting have been very, kind of benign topics. It's not, it's just here's what's happening, come on out and participate. It's not asking for, dialogue. It's not anything that's been, a post that's been, controversial in any way. We just did not want to get into that at all.
Why wouldn't you be able to do those promotions on the Parks and Recs page?
Because I think Parks and Rec it was really pigeonholed to skating for a long time, and it wasn't really a broader type of context. And so we were, we have a really good following, especially in our skate community, but it's really focused on Crash Hall. And that's how it really started out. And so
the happenings was outside of just parks. It was also, Little League is, signups are happening. There's a mountain biking event coming up. So it wasn't just our programs in our facilities, and that's
Sunday
where Parks and
market stuff.
Recreation was a little bit more centric that way.
Well, that could be expanded a bit, couldn't it? I mean,
It
you
could,
have
or we could-
2,000 followers on that
We could
already.
transition like the, maybe Blue Lake Happenings transitions over to Chamber of Commerce. We all participate in Chamber of Commerce. Emily's the vice chair of the Chamber of Commerce, so maybe we do that and we just create if you want to continue to use social media, then we can create just that very basic government page. Or we just stick with our website and, what we've been doing for government stuff, because that's the other side of it, is you need a clear designated pathway for dissemination of public information. And that's always been the website and then our postings in 3 locations. So if you want to get into adding a Facebook page as part of that, then that becomes part of our policy, because otherwise it becomes more random. So if you want a government Facebook page that's connected to the website, then that's a very structured thing. That's, you post the agenda and meeting dates, and that's about it. But that's different than what we're trying to promote with, the activities and things in the community.
Well, I think we could probably.
I just don't want to be maintaining all of these social media things.
I know.
And I don't either.
I personally am asking for one, for just one. I know you already have the Parks and Recs, but I feel like these things can really go hand in hand, because people aren't going to be checking the website as often as maybe they might see something pop up in their feed if they're following the Facebook page. And so events and different things happening, you can put it on the Facebook page. Say you do a really great overhaul on some portion of your website. Nobody's going to know it's there unless they're going specifically to look at that. But if something pops up in their feed and says, hey, we got an update, check it out, then they go over there and you get a lot more. You get a lot more of that information getting out there. So I want to bring up too that a lot of the negativity that's happened through Facebook has happened because people didn't have information, right? And so this website overhaul is about getting the information out there, and then marrying that with the Facebook page is about getting it out even more. It's about getting more information out so people have fewer questions, have fewer, maybe suspicions about information that's not being disseminated. That's part of the whole public service thing. The more information we can get out there, the more accurate, detailed information we can get out to people in a non-emotional way, the better off we all are. It's gonna ratchet down the criticisms of City Hall and what's going on or not going on, or who knows what's going on, right? So we want to kind of squelch all the suspicion and all that stuff that breeds negativity, and that's what transparency is about, right? That's why. If somebody has a question about what happened at this meeting tonight, tomorrow they can click on Justin's recording and see exactly what happened. And maybe they remembered it wrong, and then they'll listen to the recording and go, oh, that's what they said. Okay, I like that. Instead of being upset about something. And we have a hand.
Public comment.
Well, yes. I'm sorry, the public comment portion was closed.
Oh, darn.
Well, like I said, I'm not, we don't have the time or resources to manage a bunch of this stuff. It already takes us a lot to just keep up with, doing our own marketing stuff for programs. It takes up a lot of Emily's time, to keep all of that stuff out there. And I'm happy to, I don't think the intent of the Blake Happenings, I don't want to be hindered on that, so it might be a better fit for Chamber of Commerce. I don't want to be hindered by, I can't promote this person because, and I have to go promote this person. That, that wasn't the intent. It was.
Well, Chamber of Commerce doesn't have.
And they don't, but they talked about having one, so maybe Blake Happenings works better for them, because it's a promotion of Blue Lake, and these are the things that drive our economy. It's what brings people out to support our small businesses, and I think that's super critical. So I'm happy to transition that over. I think Emily and I could talk with the chamber about taking that over, and we probably could just keep helping. But if you want a government page, then I think it does need to stay strictly government, and it needs to just be very straightforward and without anything else attached to it. And that just keeps it clean, because like I said, I don't want to be questioned constantly about it.
Okay.
I like that.
Sounds
Amen.
good.
That's what we're asking for, absolutely.
All right.
So, as Lynn pointed out, there is a second piece to this social media thing, and we did touch on it. And it's all about, how city interacts and staff and who's talking for who and whatnot. And so, I don't know if we want to maybe continue the topic. I mean, we could split this out into several different discussions. I don't know how detailed we want to get tonight. But the point was made that when people know that somebody works for the city and they're commenting, then they don't know if they're talking for the city or not. So
There's still a fine line. There's still personal rights to be able to make that commentary. There is, and I took some notes from our training 2 weeks ago, and really, there's those recommended practices from the League of California Cities, and, basically it just, what the attorney mentioned was that, city employees, council members, the like, have rights as citizens, and it's just that concept that community perspective is not necessarily the same as professional perspective. And, we were all in on that training, and it just, if we keep that in mind, if we're going to comment, then, I think that's the best, trying to be, the best person that you can be by doing that, and just being careful, because what you do say is reflective of the city. But, you do have rights as a person, as a private citizen, to also make comments, but just being very aware of that community perspective versus the professional perspective. And I'm not quite sure really what more we can do about that.
And like I said, I think we've all agreed as staff that we don't need to go, we just don't need to be involved in it. We have no desire to, I don't read it, we've got lots of other work to do. We don't need to be involved in any of that. It's not a forum that that's a legitimate form of communication for us. And so there are other ways to ask staff questions and to engage with us. We're happy to do that on different levels, but we will not be doing that on social media. And that just protects all of us.
that's fine, thank you.
So what is the direction? To ask the chamber to take over the Blue Lake happenings and to create a city Facebook page.
Exactly.
Government,
City government.
government, social media page.
Exactly.
Look at Cloverdale. No, I'm just kidding. Love Cloverdale. No, they really are really good at promoting their city. I apologize.
Well, and it's a good exercise for the chamber, I think, too.
Yes, right.
But ultimately, we're a very, very small community, and so we all wear a million different hats and support each other, so.
Okay, direction has been given, and we are moving on to item 8, council correspondence. We did receive 2 correspondence. Oh, thanks. Okay, one is from Lisa Hoover. Hello, Mandy. Per a previous email I sent to you in mid-March regarding ongoing communications or the lack thereof, I'm afraid, about the Powers Creek District's proposed developments. I would ask that the following be addressed at the upcoming meeting as it relates to agendas 6 and 7, which is what we just discussed, website review and public communication. The latest information on the city's webpage link regarding the Powers Creek District entitled Powers Creek District Progress Updates is the announcement of a public meeting with Danco regarding the proposed development that was held May 15th of 2022. What is the current status of this development and others, e.g. Storyland proposals, Paradise K housing development? The web page has not been maintained by the city to provide information to the community about the status of such developments, e.g. status of CEQA, communication between the entities and the city regarding associated developments. Will the city update the Powers Creek District webpage at regular intervals and or as new information arises regarding development stages, phases? Related, I would ask the council to evaluate and engage the new information received in order to determine the need for a focused public meeting on the topic so that the community can be engaged. I will not be able to attend the upcoming meeting, but this message serves as public comment to agenda item 6 specifically and related to public communications agenda item number 7. I ask that this public comment be read aloud at the meeting and be documented in the public record. Thank you, Lisa Hoover. And you have copies of this. And then the other one is some sad news. Dear council members, due to the immediate demands of unanticipated changes in my health, this is from Diana Lynn. Please accept my resignation from the Blue Lake Arts and Heritage Commission. Thank you for your ongoing and dedicated hard work supporting our great little town. Hopefully, I will be able to rejoin this community-wide effort at a future time. Regretfully, Diana Lynn. Do we need to fill that position then on the
Yeah,
commission?
so we'll
that'll
put
be
that
next
back out.
meeting.
Yeah, she just had surgery. She's doing really well, but she's just needs some more time, and especially meeting in public is stressful. So.
I'd like to mention that a couple people have asked me if we're having a meeting about Danco in May, because that flyer actually doesn't have the year on it. It just says the month and day.
Yeah, she put the year as
It was from 2022.
She did in the letter, but the flyer on the website doesn't have the year. So some people that were aware of it last year are seeing that flyer now and thinking we're having a meeting coming up. So that might be something that needs.
That's a good reason to look at the website.
Yeah. The ad hoc committee will look at that.
Yeah.
Is there any other correspondence?
And then you guys do have some individual mail. that-
Yeah.
So-
You guys get mail. We get mail. All right, we are on item number 9, consent agenda. And I would like to pull the meeting minutes because I have a couple of issues I want to change that are, I think, substantive. And I think you wanted to pull the disbursements, is that correct?
I have a couple, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and pull then 9A and 9B. Right, 9A. I think it should be noted somewhere, let's see, after the flag salute, that a moment of silence was held for Michaela Bernald and the Bernald family.
Right.
Okay, so that would be on page 1. Pledge of Allegiance, established quorum of the council. Maybe after Pledge of Allegiance, you could put moment of silence for the Glenn Bernald family. And then on page 8, in the middle of the page, it says Mayor Jones, 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. are quiet hours during the weekdays. That should be 10 a.m. to 8 a.m.
10 a.m.?
I'm sorry, 10 p.m. Thank you,
Yes.
10 p.m. And then it should be 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. on the weekends. See where that is in the middle page there? Yeah, that's okay. So change it to 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. are quiet hours during the weekdays. 11 p.m. and 9 a.m. on the weekends.
Sure.
And did you have something
Yeah, on
else?
page 6.
Okay.
Angela said I wouldn't be opposed to tabling it to the
It
next
currently
meeting.
says, yeah, it currently says.
It says I would be opposed to taking it. Yeah, she suggested it.
I would be opposed to taking
I
it to the
wouldn't.
next meeting. I would not.
I would not be opposed, yeah.
I would
Would
not be opposed to taking
tabling it was the correct word, correct?
Yes.
Table it?
Yeah, but we don't want to use the word tabling.
Well, that's what she said.
Continued,
Minutes.
continued is what you
You want to
wanted
use the word continued.
Well, but the word table was actually said.
Right.
Or taking it. She said taking it to the next meeting.
I think taking it,
Taking it.
Yeah.
Did you say?
But it was
I thought you
wouldn't,
said
not would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure
wouldn't.
she shouldn't say
I wouldn't.
tabling
It's
because
the
I
opposite
would
of,
have
the meaning is the opposite. I
I
thought you said
tabling
table.
and you said no.
No,
I like
don't
tabling.
use,
Yes,
don't use
yes.
the word tabling.
I said taking it to the next meeting.
Oh, okay, great.
I
Okay,
wouldn't
good.
be opposed to taking it to the next meeting.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Does the
Okay, are
end
there
be
any
effective?
other corrections or additions to the minutes? Yes, there are, okay.
On page 6, towards the bottom of the page where it says I'm not comfortable with naming the development at this time.
Yeah.
I think my full statement was because I felt that it should be put out to the community for participation before we named, so I'd like to add that on there.
I think that was
It's
mentioned
up here.
earlier.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah,
See,
it is.
at the
It's
top
up
there
here.
it is. I
It is.
It should
wonder
go out to the
if it's too
community.
early to name the development. I'm not sure how far along the development.
But I'd like to stipulate that I was not comfortable doing it for that particular reason. I believe I said that during the meeting.
You did. It's up here higher. This should go out to the community.
Yeah. This should go out.
But maybe you said it again. I don't know.
I think I did. That's why I just wanted, I voted no on it, and I want people to be clear about why I voted no.
Okay.
And that is because.
Well, it's already mentioned, but I guess it could be.
And I was hoping we could go back to instead of this dark DR, go back to that sweeping draft word that you had on there, because it's really hard to read some of the words through the dark, the DR that's on there.
Are there any other questions or comments or changes to the minutes? All right, then I will entertain a motion that we pass the minutes with those corrections and additions.
So moved.
So seconded.
Moved by Elizabeth McKay, seconded by Angela Shell to approve the minutes of February 28th, 2023 with those changes and additions. Any other comments from council? Any comments from the public?
I do have a comment.
Yeah.
I'm Erin McClure.
Hi.
And I was just wondering, I know because of the Brown Act, or whatever, you guys can't talk back to me, but as most all of you probably know, I cleaned up that homeless camp. And I didn't mind doing it at all, but it drove me insane to see all that garbage. We heard Mandy just say that she's trying to bring people to Blue Lake, and that's a gateway to our town.
So I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I don't either,
think-
but.
Oh, you guys don't know?
No, this
Does
is
this
not.
relate to what we're talking
Oh,
about right
no, I
now?
thought you were at the end of your meeting.
Oh,
No.
so
we're-
public comment is at the beginning for anything that's not on the agenda. You
Oh.
have 3 minutes.
I also thought it was at the end.
I'm sorry.
Okay, how should I, can I get this on the next agenda or?
I can actually talk to you right after this because it has really absolutely nothing to do with the city.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'd like to talk to the whole city about it.
No, but I
So,
can't.
I,
interact.
yeah, so
But that
however
area
I can
doesn't.
get.
To the next meeting,
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning. Yeah,
Okay.
is when the public comment is at the beginning
Okay.
of every meeting.
We're not agenda.
I'm sorry, I was,
If we're not
We're not
agendized.
agendized.
Yes.
Right.
I thought it was at the end also, so sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so we were in the middle of discussion of the motion to pass the minutes.
We did.
And so I open it up to public, and we're coming
yeah.
back to
Okay.
council for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Minutes passed.
Did you get the first and the second?
Elizabeth and Angela.
Angela Shaw and Elizabeth. Okay. All right, now we are on item 9B, the warrants and disbursements, and you have some questions about
I
that?
did. I just noticed a couple items here, and I was curious about what they are. So, on the first page, item 10508,
Humboldt made a check in the amount of $6,500. And I wondered if you could tell us what that is.
Yeah, so the city partnered with Humboldt Made for last year's arts markets and farmers markets. It was part of the COVID funding that we had to promote and reinvigorate economic and business in Blue Lake. Part of the program, we gave out grants to different businesses that applied. We gave out grants in the amount, I think they were around $4,000 to several businesses in town. To some businesses bought pieces of equipment, some businesses used it to help catch up with rent, some businesses used it for promotion and marketing, and then part of the program was to work with Humboldt Made to look at kind of revitalization of the downtown, and part of that was to put on the markets. So Humboldt Made took on the whole task of managing the markets, marketing. They provided all the insurance. They brought in all the vendors. They worked with the Growers Association. They did all the setup. They did all the permitting. And this was kind of our cost share of that market. And it was really successful, and we're planning on doing it again this year. But it's expensive to put on those things. Insurance alone is, thousands of dollars. So it was a nice, I think, collaboration, and it's built a really good kind of relationship between the city and Humboldt Made to continue to do promotions for small business.
I'm curious, well, I don't know if this is the time to ask for that, but I'm curious how successful the vendors were at those events.
I can tell you Parks and Recreation, we were really successful. Our booth, we did really well.
The vendor that was selling the travel mugs and whatnot, she sold out nearly, I think she was there 3 or 4 times. Yeah. She nearly sold out. And the guy that was doing salmon was sold out. Honey Lady was sold out. I got there late and I didn't get any honey. I was super bummed.
Yeah, I know the farmers did really well, and it was actually really a great time because a lot of the farmers are from Willow Creek, and so it was kind of on the end of their their farmers market tour, so they were able to use the Blue Lake Market to basically sell out most of their produce and things. So it gave them an extra market. I talked to several vendors who said it was the best starting market that they've ever been part of. So we've had nothing but positive feedback from those that participated in the market itself. We also had, I know Blue Heron, Theora did great, Keiko did really well. I think people who were really centered around, I know the Logger did really well. So I think it was really successful.
And we contracted with Humboldt Made for that. It's just unusual that
So that was
came so late.
It was kind of a wrap up. It took them a long time. They've gone through some transitions with their staffing.
Oh, that's right. They
And so it's taken them a while to get us those invoices and to get all that wrapped up.
So that was the total that was paid to them? Okay. And then the other item I was curious about was 10530 Blue Lake Rancheria in the amount of $2,750.
Yeah, so that's our transit contract. So we have a contract with the Rancheria. We provide, it's about $32,000 a year towards their transit system. So we have a partnership with them to provide transit services in the city of Blue Lake.
Okay. And does that come out of the general fund?
No, it comes from our LTF funds, from HCOG. So those are our local transit funds.
Humboldt County Association of Governments, which I represent the city of Blue Lake. This comes up every year, and some cities like the city of Eureka, they have their own transit system. And so Blue Lake is given this amount of money, and we're supposed to have our own bus system. Okay, well, we can't afford our own bus system, so what we decided to do, and this has been going on for, since the Rancheria has been,
Yeah, it's been about 5 years,
Yeah, it's been a long time, but we contract with them to do our busing, and we give them that money.
Yeah, we get TTA funds and LTF funds that help support us.
Okay.
So, anything else?
No, probably not.
Well, we have Okay, well, we have to pass 9B.
Yes.
Okay.
A motion that we accept the warrants and disbursements.
Second.
Motion by Elise Scafani, seconded by Chris Edgar to pay the warrants and disbursements. Any other comments from council? Back to council for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Okay, reports of council and staff. Usually what I do is I go kind of around the room here and see how we did. So Christopher, did you attend any meetings that you would like to report on?
Nope, mine tomorrow,
Which is
the fire department.
Oh, good. Good. Looking forward to hearing. Are we on Wednesdays?
No, I meet with Ed specifically on the third Wednesday, or the last Wednesday of every month.
Awesome.
And I told David, I was like, I will meet any day you want to, because that means I have to wait a whole nother month
Right.
to report, because they do it on the last Wednesday, and we're the last Tuesday.
Got it. Oh, yeah. So you're gonna do that again, though, because you're gonna report next month.
I'm gonna say, no, let's do it sooner than that.
Yeah.
Like, 2 weeks before our meeting, I can meet with them. I can go over there any evening, any one of their meeting nights, because they have 2 meeting nights per month, and 2 training nights per month. And I can just, instead of having a special meeting on a day, I can go on any of those and just hang out and.
Get whatever information you
Yep.
need. Yeah, okay. Okay, no other meetings, Christopher, thank you. Elise?
I went to 2 meetings at RCEA, and nothing too exciting going on there. Kind of some rehashing of old stuff. RCEA does have a new member, and that is the Yurok tribe. And that happened in the last month. And as you heard earlier, Kit is our continuing representative there. And also, they have reached out to the Grange to possibly include them in a program where they might be eligible for a free heat pump to replace their old natural gas heater. So that's kind of exciting. That's kind of a fun trickle through, trickle down effect happening in our little town. And that's all I got.
Thank you. So I reported on some meetings I went to, but I did want to say that yesterday, I'm on the board of directors of the Blue Lake Museum, and yesterday they met, and they will have to push back the opening of the Blue Lake Museum until June. The curator is not ready to have that open. And the other thing I want to report on is the Grange had over 100 people at bingo last Saturday night. It was a fundraiser for Hamtastic, a kinetic sculpture. And that you will see on the website that every month now, it's the last Saturday of every month, there's going to be bingo at the Grange. Good idea, Mandy. And it's a very family-friendly event and very well attended, and it makes money for various groups each month. And also I wanted to mention the Grange that, I don't know if people noticed there was a mobile home that was parked in the parking lot of the Grange for a couple of days. The Grange got a check for $500 for that. Okay. So that's good. And my shameless plug is everybody should join the Grange because they need money. So I'm glad they got money for that. All right, I'm moving on.
Blue Lake Chamber meeting, I went to that on March 13th. The chamber had agreed to contribute $500 to the memorial fund for Michaela Bernal. And there was some conversation about that, and they introduced Cheris Bowman as the skate coordinator, which is not new to this group. April 29th, there's going to be a block party at the Logger. There is going to be streets cordoned off for people to wander around, and they weren't exactly, and maybe Emily, you can help me out with this, like, I'm not quite sure what activities are going on at the block party, if that's, I'm not sure if that had come to fruition yet at the time of the meeting.
DJs, some light vendors, type of thing.
Right, okay. And And then farmer's market, they talked about again, set for summer, starting around August, September. And then, and then as Adeline mentioned, the Grange is going to have bingo once a month. So the one that's coming up is going to be the one in April is going to support the Blue Lake 8th grade trip. And the Old Crows want to have a bingo night, so between them and the chamber, they're kind of duking it out who's going to take May and June. But it is up for opportunities for other organizations to make some money. Talked a little bit about the rock painting event that happened. And that there was the Blue Lake Chamber Mixer that happened, or it wasn't just for Blue Lake, it was Humboldt County Chamber Mixer that happened at Benbow last month. And there were 85 people there and many people who attended the event in total, but there were many people from Blue Lake who went to the Benbow Chamber Mixer. The other thing too is that Blue Lake is set to host an all-county chamber event, and they are looking and working with their Green Diamond contacts to perhaps use
Camp Bauer.
Can't remember the name.
Camp Bauer.
I got married there. I should remember the name. Camp Bauer, and doing that in May.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Annie and Mary Day, July 9th.
remember.
Yeah, I mentioned that last month.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Alrighty, so Blue Lake Arts and Heritage, on March 15th. Let's see. What did we talk about? There's so much here. Oh, let's see. Well, we talked about the Bottle Walk community, and just looking at the designs, thinking about putting murals and art and, how to use the space so that it's beautified and artsy. And then we talked about the town square is moving forward with getting designed with some art involved in that as well. The Ink People program is still moving forward. Did we join yet?
I don't think that we have processed that.
Okay, we should do that. And then there's a public safety commission, a Go Slow campaign. So making some signs to help with that. And let's see. That's about it for that one. And then I went to the League of Cities. Yeah, that was good. I missed the dinner though, which I should have just gone because I missed the deadline to sign up for the dinner, but I guess there was plenty of food. It was good. So I missed that, but I sat next to people from Rio Del, and they're just really recovering. I mean, it's all about the earthquake for them. It was really interesting to get to meet them. So it was really nice to connect with people from all around the upper part of the state and find out what's going. And this was at Arcata hosted it, and it was at the D Street community. And it was really neat. Most people are letting water out of their hoppers for the first time in a long time because of all the water that we have, and they're just dealing with that. And just talking about how people are dealing with homeless, and the biggest thing was the ambassador program that Arcata has instigated, or I don't know if that's the right word, implemented, where they have people from the community and they're paid, and they have like bright yellow shirts on. They have their outfits like safety shirts, and they go out to the community and work just cleaning up. A large part of it is cleaning up Arcata and talking to people that are there. Originally, they thought they would be promoting businesses and helping with tourism, but mostly it's helping with all the homeless that are there and just helping them feel better about who they are, and the situation they're in, and the anger is lessening, and there's more communication, and Fire Phoenix is kind of a lead there, and I don't know how many of you know who he is, but he really is very sensitive to the needs of of the homeless people there. And so there's really, they're just working on creating more community within the homeless community that's there because it's pretty big. And, you know, and just making it all work out nicely and cleaning. They're cleaning a lot. They go out and clean. That's what they do basically. And I think there's 7 of them, people that are hired. So that was another one. The Blue Lake Economic Development. Let's see, the Shamrock Bash. Was it hit? Let's see. Oh, and then that's I wonder why I already knew about the block parties. So that was mentioned here. Yeah, the block party's happening and the Hamtastic. So that, yeah, the bingo, it was a really big hit. Hamtastic owned it. They were really good. So if you guys haven't been, I'm not supposed to say that. Okay. Anyway, it was really fun. Hope you're going. Let's see. Oh my gosh. So there's commercial kitchens happening. There's so much here. I take weird notes, and it's all been so long. I go to a lot of meetings. In fact, this is the last one, which was last night, that I'd like to propose. I don't know when I bring this up, to see if we can switch who's in charge of this meeting, because I have too many meetings to go to for one day.
Which one, the economic development?
It is, yeah, Redwood Regional Economic. It's a really good meeting, but it's really important, but it's big. Yeah,
I know.
It's big.
I went to it once.
Yeah,
There's a lot there.
It is, but it's
And it's
really interesting. What they're talking about, what was happened yesterday, was this woman, Amy Jester, from, let's see, let me get this. She works at Humboldt Area Foundation, but she did a presentation on the idea of getting a lot of entities together to join in to discuss what's happening with the offshore wind, because the offshore wind is happening and it's going to bring a huge change to this area, and just how it's going to affect everybody that's here. And so she's trying to get REDEC to join that group, and a lot of people to join the group. So that's what her whole role was. It's called Core Hub Offshore Wind Community Benefit Network. And she had a really good slideshow that I wanted to print, but I couldn't get it to print. And I emailed it, but I didn't get it in time. So yeah, I don't know how we can get it out to the public somehow, or
Add a little tiny something to that. There was a really nice presentation by a representative of Fishermen's Marketing about the offshore wind at the RCEA meeting. So
Okay.
if somebody wants to listen to that, talked about a lot of different zones in the ocean and different kinds of things. It was really fascinating. So that's something that, you know, if you got on and listened to their meeting, their Zoom recording, it was very educational.
right. And I guess that would be, because this is Zoom recorded too. So yeah, the REDEC. It's Monday, the last Monday of every month at 6:30. At 6:30. Yeah. And it's actually. I'll be the alternate then, or do you still want to be the
I
alternate?
can still be the alternate. It's
Okay,
just,
so
I
I'll just
can't
make-
commit every Monday at 6:30.
Right.
It's not every Monday. It's
I mean,
last
yeah,
Monday.
last Monday.
Just once a month, but
Yeah. And,
it's,
oh, speaking
it's
of that,
really high-end.
take yours.
Yeah.
I have Little League that I'm coaching.
Yeah, I was just gonna put this over. So I will be missing this. Okay.
That's the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need
I
to do
just,
it.
and I just
in
need
this
them
venue.
to have my email address so that they can send me the invite.
And then I think what we have to do is
Thursday.
open up action at the next meeting.
Okay.
If you guys wanna kind of make that arrangement amongst yourselves, so we have the same meetings, and we'll.
Yeah, because it happened right before. I wanted to do it. Yeah, but the meeting was before.
So can you let them know just that I'm gonna be taking your spot, sure, and so that they can start emailing me the links?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
it's really
important that we
interesting.
have,
It's a huge
yeah,
board.
no, yeah, that we
It's a
have
huge board.
representation on that, because there's money involved.
Good,
Anyway, so-
excellent. Okay, good, because it's kind of over my
Okay,
head.
so Angela and Elizabeth are gonna switch for REDEC.
No, Angela, I'm just off and it's on. And the alternate remains the same.
I'm still Chris. Also, I
Gotta
want to
keep
give
that straight.
Thank you.
everybody a heads up that I will not be
Yeah.
here next meeting. I'm gonna be out of town with some training.
I hope you're doing fun training.
No,
Or in a fun
it's,
location.
No, it's in Ukiah, and it is hazmat response training. Oh, so excited.
You can at least be here on Zoom, whether or not you can participate as a council member on Zoom.
Oh, yeah, I could actually like listen in.
You could, yeah, you could be
Well,
here.
I think the rule is that you can do, council persons or board members can do 2 meetings
I have
a
it right
year
here.
on Zoom.
But it has to be
Okay.
for emergency purposes.
But-
It has to be for emergency, but what
Yeah.
about his
No,
training?
no,
Is
no,
that
and
enough?
also, we've already gone through this. If I was gonna do it, I would have to open my hotel up to the public, make it
Oh, yeah.
available to everything, post it in 3
Yes.
spots.
Yes.
I can join and watch, but not participate.
Oh, okay. All right, and yeah, I cannot make the next Humboldt Waste Management Authority meeting because that's in spring break and I'll be out of town. And Christopher, you're my
Yes, I can do
alternate.
that one.
You can do this one?
Yeah, I can do the waste management one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said you couldn't do it. Okay.
Oh, this one? Yes, no, I'm sorry. Shoot, I
Oh,
thought that
you
was-
can't do this.
No, I can't do that one. I
Okay.
thought there was a different one.
All right.
I don't know, it's late.
Are you on the board there?
Yes, it's a board. I'm a voting member, but you know, there have been people that have not been at meetings and there's been no representative.
I was curious, can we have a community representative for if there's a time where we can't go to a meeting and the alternate can't go to a meeting?
No, a lot of these have to be elected officials. Yeah, they have to be elected officials. All right, well, we'll leave that one out there.
And then was it your turn?
All right, where are we, folks? We are now at city manager report.
Yes, I provided a written report. It's-
Yes, thank you.
A lot of these projects just are ongoing, so I go back through and I try and change little sheets here and there, but if you have any questions, I don't know why there's an extra.
That was one of my questions, so mostly you're just editing little bits and parts of these because they kind of are.
Because they're ongoing, so they're long-term, yeah. And, I mean, there's a million projects happening outside of just, these are just kind of some of the main ones that I think might be the most interest, but there's a lot of other projects that are happening and are in various states of process. So if you have any specific questions, I'm really happy to answer.
For a little town, we have so much going on. It's really exciting. Are there any questions or comments for the city manager's report? All right. Future agenda items, we're going to have to put the Diana Lynn vacancy on the Arts and Heritage Commission, so we'll have to publish that. Is there a hand up? Oh,
It's been up for a long time.
Okay.
Hearing noises might not.
But we're not taking
well, not really.
Adeline, I have comment back to your report for staff, if that's okay and appropriate.
I don't know. I've never had anybody question that, but okay, what's the question?
Well, were you able to attend the March 14th Humboldt County Association of Governments board meeting that you represent for us?
Yes, but it was,
Okay.
it was
well,
March
yeah,
16th. And I reported on it at our special meeting.
Okay, I was just curious if the pavement management program update was covered then. I don't remember that.
Yes, it was
It was-
actually.
Okay, I'm sorry then. I think that should be something that, the scenarios that analysis, professionals came in and gave the city. We ranked pretty significant out of all the county. So I think that should be reviewed and perhaps brought up as a future agenda item. All of it's available on the Humboldt Governor's Board. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
What was that?
Well, she's talking about, there was a grant for a pavement program that came out of Humboldt County Association of Governments meeting that I had at the last meeting. And Mandy's on the technical advisory committee.
Yeah, so we received those reports. So every
It
so
was
many
a
number of
consultant
years.
presentation, actually. It was a consultant presentation. Her presentation and her analysis is available on their page. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to clarify.
Yeah.
So it's an analysis that's done every so many years to analyze our pavement, the status basically of the pavement in our city. And we use that PMR to determine funding allocations and to apply for grants. We also use it for some of our streets funding to be able to justify various allocations of funding. So as we know, our streets are in deplorable condition. But that's really all going to change, and it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how that changes the report after the gas line project. So there's going to be a substantial amount of paving that starts taking place probably late April.
Yeah. Do we have a way for people to communicate about stuff that maybe has been forgotten? Because I know there's folks that have like a messed up sidewalk in their backyard and things like that. I have to be one of them. And I wonder if City Hall is keeping a list or giving people an opportunity to say, hey, what about me? Have you forgotten?
We don't. We refer everyone back to PG&E. So there's a contact with PG&E. So when people contact us, we refer them to PG&E because it's a PG&E issue and not a city issue. So we need to get them in contact with the proper people.
Okay. And so for people that are waiting really patiently for somebody to come and fix stuff, are we going to know when they're wrapping up so that if somebody has gotten left out, that they have an opportunity to?
Yeah, I'm assuming PG&E is going to do some outreach. I mean, there's a lot that's going to go into the paving project. We're going to be dealing with, I think Mercer Fraser probably is getting the contract. So as part of that, there will be various levels of permitting and outreach that takes place to be able to do that. So there's going to be a lot of street closures as part of that as well. And then they have someone separate that's coming in to do the concrete work, some of the repair work.
Was it going to include sidewalks where there were not sidewalks before?
No. It's only to repair what was damaged during the gas line project. Yeah.
And should we make an agenda item for the remark that Lizard made about thinking of other things that we should do before we pay? Is that a possibility to do?
It's very much on the front radar. Everything we do, unfortunately, it's millions of dollars of infrastructure repair. So we are looking at, not necessarily as part of this project, we have gone in and checked and fixed some ongoing leaks that we've had and some failures in preparation for the paving to come in. But the larger repairs, I mean, you're talking millions of dollars in grant applications. We have various applications that are pending, but they can be, 1 to 3 years out before construction hits. So we can't hold the contractor to any of those timeframes, unfortunately. It would be great if we had the resources to do it all at once. That's always the goal, is to dig once. But in this situation, we're a little bit hamstrung just because of the monumental size of those projects and the costs associated.
Yeah, it's a dream of mine to have underground wiring all through the town. That's a real pipe dream. Any other future agenda items?
Yes, so will we be having the recording policy for meetings on the next agenda?
Yeah, so what I have right now is I have the contract with Humboldt County Sheriff to bring back an proposed amendment to look at what those cost implications would be. We need an action item to switch Elizabeth and Angela on REDAC, a video policy, Diana Lynn's resignation and advertisement. I can go ahead and get that advertisement going anyways, just so we don't lose time, because we already have a vacancy. But we can formally accept that, I think, at the next meeting.
Can we accept it and appoint somebody in the same meeting? If we have.
Well, we had it as correspondence.
It was just correspondence, yeah. So, I mean, a resignation is just a resignation. I mean, I think you just accept it.
Yeah. Just accept it and post.
Post
If you're fine with it, just accepting that as stated. And she can't attend, so we might as well just go out and advertise, and then that would give us the 30 days.
So I would like to have some information about the budget on our next agenda. And I'm not sure what, I don't know, I'm not sure how to do that or what to do, but I've reviewed our current budget, and I feel like we all need to kind of get schooled on how the budget works. I don't know about you guys, maybe y'all understand it instinctivally, I don't.
No, it's not instinctive. I had to learn about it, and Elizabeth, I know, has had a lot of experience with it as well. I mean, we're on a fiscal year, so our budget, we'll get a new budget probably in May.
But we have to talk about it and learn about it and know how to read it and understand what it is, right? So maybe next month we can have an agenda item where we take a look at our current budget and learn a little bit, ask, questions and answers about how it works and what it means, so that when we start working on the next one, we have a little more to go on.
Well, will we be needing some budget amendments by next month?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Right now, unfortunately, our accountant is like right in the middle of tax season, so it's a really hard time for him to free up time. But I can talk to Scott and see. If not, we can provide maybe kind of an overview. I think we could pull that together in-house. I don't know if I could get Scott here, though, is the problem.
So our next meeting would be after the 15th, so maybe he'll be freed up then?
It's possible, he may be leaving.
We're dealing with extensions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Extensions.
Yeah.
What about the web?
Are you guys, do you want to bring that back at the next meeting? I don't know if the ad hoc will be ready at that point to make a.
I think we might be. But can I ask you a question? Last night at the planning commission meeting, talking about landscaping at the town square, the question was asked, is there money? And I recall you saying something about a grant that was slated for economic development or something.
Well, it's in her
And
report.
so, I'm just wondering, when that happens, does that require a budget amendment to spend that money on that project? Or is that money in that fund already available for that project?
So that money gets appropriated, when we get the award, then we put that into the budget. So we can either do that as a budget amendment, or we put that grant into the city's budget already. We haven't received the funds for reimbursement yet, but we have identified that as a project.
Okay, and which grant was that?
It is the state park, it's tourism and economic revitalization, and then we have a state park per capita program. It's funding all of our park facilities.
Okay.
That was in her report here, the town square grant. The city is working with the state to finalize the long tail for the town square.
I read that, but I didn't understand. Anyway, I didn't realize how it related to this. So I was curious about the American Rescue Plan COVID Relief Fund. Are the monies in that fully, I imagine there's still some money left in there,
Yeah.
right?
So we basically have our second tranche of funds is still available. We budgeted those for this fiscal year, for fiscal year 22-23, but they weren't specifically earmarked at the time because we weren't sure what a proper use of those funds were going to be. So that'll be a budget amendment coming forward, and it'll roll forward to 23-24.
Okay. So I just noticed like how it's broken out in general fund, park facilities, and economic development. And so I'm wondering, there's $43,000 in general and $115,000 in economic development. Could the website be considered one of those two items and just be paid out of that, or do we have to actually have a budget amendment to pay?
It depends on if you have a line item for that. I mean, we can move between line items in the budget, but it depends on whether those line items are necessary or if they're under or over budget. So basically, you have you authorize kind of a bottom line budget. You say, okay, yes, I present, here's what we expect to spend the funds on, and the total is $50,000. I can move in between line items, like say, I need a little bit less in wages and a little bit more in supplies, but it doesn't change the bottom line number. So we have the authority to move up and down within the different general ledger account items, line items. So you have wages, salaries, benefits, supplies, whatever. So if But if we need those monies and we can't move them because those monies need to pay for those specific items, then we would need to ask for either a budget amendment to add money to it, or we would need to look at a different source. So it just depends. We just have to go through.
And is there a line item that the website falls into?
It's under IT. Yeah, so we have money for information technologies for various things. So updating computers. We use that sometimes for networking, different cyber issues, software.
Is there a line item for community outreach or communications in general that's not specifically IT?
Okay, and again, for future agenda items, you should have your agenda item in by Wednesday before the following Tuesday. All right. Is there a hand up?
Yeah. This is Lynn. Would you ask the public if future agenda items or any comment on?
Items for the public.
Yeah, I was just announcing that the agenda items should be brought by Wednesday before the Tuesday meeting, but did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did. So back to the agenda item regarding the posting meetings of Humboldt Access. So I'm thinking that the next agenda maybe, because it hasn't really been officially discussed yet, the appropriate place. I think I heard a couple of council members suggesting that the meetings could be posted as is for now. I think Nancy was saying she wants some time to make the postings better and do some improvements, which I think is great. But I think the last council direction to staff was to post the meetings on Humboldt Access. But if there was further discussion, it seems like the next agenda would be a good place for it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, moved, seconded by Mr. Edgar to adjourn. Any further discussion from council, public, back to council for the vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.